So, Khamzat Chimaev, Dricus du Plessis, that's a fight that I feel like a lot of people want to see. And to be quite frank, I think Khamzat's earned that fight. He deserves it, right? You see what he did to Rob Whittaker, which I can never unsee, by the way. That's going to be seared into my brain for as long as time exists and for as long as I step foot on this mere mortal plane. I will never, ever forget the feeling that I had watching Khamzat Chimaev choke out Robert Whittaker while I was in a Las Vegas airport. It was single-handedly one of the most terrifying and sad experiences I've ever had. But now we have this interesting matchup to where we could be seeing him and Dricus face off. Now, usually I'm quick to say, all right, this is the way the fight is going to play out. I can look at a few key characteristics and say, yeah, he's going to have the advantage here. And that's not the case here, because Khamzat certainly has better grappling than Dricus. I'd argue that he probably has better striking than Dricus does. But what Dricus has, and it's been what the internet has coined as plot armor, is this weird, uncanny ability to thrive, I think, in the chaos of fights is the best way that I would put it. I don't know if there's another way necessarily to put that, because you'll see Dricus and he's doing things in there that shouldn't work. Now, by all accounts, and I haven't yet by admission watched the second Strickland and Dricus fight, but by all accounts, he seemed to be the best form of himself striking wise. Besides from that though, you look at the Darren Till fight, you look at the Derek Brunson fight, you look at, even the Israel Adesanya fight. There's never been a fight where I've thought, wow, yeah, Dricus looks like he has really good striking. On paper, he does so many things wrong. He runs through his combinations. That goes past switching stances or crossing your feet when you do so. He straight up just runs at his opponent and throws, I don't want to say wild shots, but shots that would leave his chin exposed for counters if his opponent was given the opportunity. He's also sloppy on his takedowns. I look at a guy in Dricus du Plessis and nothing about him says elite middleweight prospect or even middleweight champion of the world. Certainly not a guy that would take out Israel Adesanya. Maybe a guy that would take out Sean Strickland. But hey, Sean Strickland had a really good thing going until Dricus came along. But yeah, you look at him, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. Because on paper, I think that Khamzat Chimaev smokes Dricus. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup strength-wise. Like, I want to see how Dricus defends takedowns when he locks up with Khamzat, because these are two traditionally strong guys that you see can constrict people. Now, where Khamzat differs is he obviously has that deep bag of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that he likes to call upon. DDP has somewhat of a bag, I suppose, but he's really just, I think the ace up his sleeve has always been his physicality and the pace that he keeps and how much of a presence he has in there, if that makes any sense. I always think, is it that the opponents that he fought were really good? Or do we look back at these wins? Israel Adesanya, in hindsight, seems to have hit a cold patch. Darren Till is Darren Till. And Darren Till almost came back and won that fight. I had money on Darren Till, the Derek Brunson fight. All these wins, excluding, of course, Robert Whittaker, because he would then go on to take out Ikram Aliskerov, which even that kind of has, you could say, an asterisk next to it, because Ikram, a lot of people felt, and I kind of felt like, shouldn't have got that big of a cut in line. But again, the only real win you could say there would be, in my personal opinion, maybe Israel Adesanya and maybe Rob Whittaker. Realistically, Dricus, there shouldn't be a way that he's winning the way that he is. I don't think. Sean Strickland, the first time around, they had an incredibly close fight. This time, not so much. But Sean's a guy with a 1-2 and a teep kick. Like, these are not guys that are going to legitimately threaten you outside of, again, the two that we mentioned, with a super duper hyper specific specialty that they've mastered. And for Khamzat, it's obvious to see that it's his grappling. Well, Izzy was supposed to be his striking, right? But we, again, don't know how over the hill he was at the time of that fight. Rob, his striking as well, but Dricus just caught him at a weird angle. And I'm not trying to be a Dricus hater here. I'm just trying to describe what I could give him realistically in a matchup with Khamzat Chimaev. And I don't know if it's a lot. I don't think it's many avenues, right? You can't say that you give him the grappling advantage. You can't say that you give him the striking advantage. Maybe the physicality, but Khamzat looks big. He's always been a big middleweight. And so for me, I always try to look at, like, what does each fighter bring to the table? And man, I can't see, again, anything that Dricus brings being able to cancel out the star power that Khamzat Chimaev has. And I get it. We've seen Khamzat look human against Usman and against Gilbert Burns, but are those guys on the level of Dricus? And I know so many people are going to be like, well, Gilbert Burns never held a title. How could you even make that comparison? Gilbert Burns has better striking than Dricus du Plessis. Please, come on. Maybe even Usman. In his later years when he got better at boxing, I think right now Usman probably has better striking. Again, though, I don't know. I don't know, and I don't feel comfortable or confident enough necessarily giving him a fight just based off of plot armor alone, and I think that's what a lot of people want to see, because I'm right there with you. I do not want to see Khamzat become champion. I'd much rather see DDP stay champion because he's just a likable guy. He's just cool to watch. You never know what's going to happen in a fight with him, and that's the cool part. You know, maybe he proves me wrong. Maybe he goes out, maybe he extinguishes Khamzat's fire, wears him down, gets into a weird striking battle with him, and then, I don't know, finishes him with a weird cross that he throws or a head kick or any one of those big things. Right now, though, if I was a betting man, I would throw the house on Khamzat Chimaev. Now, if Khamzat can't get him out of there early, that's when there might be problems, because I know that's when Khamzat tries to and kind of enjoys that idea of getting into the fire with someone. We saw him trading with Usman. We saw him trading with Gilbert Burns. You know, anyone that's given him any type of resistance besides Rob Whittaker, he has gladly stepped into the fire, and he's gotten a little bit burned for it. You could say he's gotten burned for it. He got dropped. And with Usman showed him that if you have a strong enough grappling base, you can last with Khamzat. So it's all up to DDP. Does he use his strength to survive early? Does he take the fight to Khamzat late? That could be a potential route to victory for him, but I see him winning that via decision. I don't see him getting Khamzat out of there. I can see Khamzat dragging him to the ground, submitting him very easily. But if DDP wins this, I think it's going to be via a decision. With some of these fights where I don't really know which way to call it, I might even call into mind the idea that DDP is pretty lethal on the mic. Does he make Khamzat kind of come out a little bit more aggressive? Does he get in his head? Because we've seen Khamzat fight very emotional. It happened in the Burns fight. He's abandoned game plans before, big time. So is that something where DDP leverages all that he has to be able to beat this guy? What I do know is, and without declaring a winner, because I really can't confidently state it either way, if I had to put my money down, it'd probably be on Khamzat. But this fight will be absolute cinema. I'm going to be tuning the fuck in for this thing. Mainline it into my veins, get it on some Saudi Arabia card, stack the fucking deck with talent after that, and let's go, baby. I want to fucking see this card right now. I will wake up at 10 a.m. to watch that. Without further ado, guys, it's been your boy, the combat consultant, the soundboard god, Jacob Kuberman, and I'll see you on the next one. Deuces.